The South African Human Rights Commission says it will provide legal support to the family of Enoch Mpianzi. The 13-year-old boy, the Parktown Boys High learner, drowned during a school orientation camp last week. The Mpianzi family has requested a full probe into their son's death. The Human Rights Commission says legal intervention is needed because a number of parties are allegedly implicated in Enoch's death. Members of the Commission and the Mpianzi family are expected to go and lodge in Brits, where Enoch drowned, in a bid to find the answers. We've got Buang Jones, the Gauteng provincial manager of the SAHRC, in studio with us. Buang, thanks for coming. Good to have you in studio. So your statement that the condition of Enoch's body is questionable, talk to me about this.
Well, I have not yet interacted with the South African Police Service. The family has requested a post-mortem to be conducted to ascertain the cause of death, as they suspect foul play and attribute his death to the negligent conduct of either the school or the educators who were in charge of this camp, or those who are in charge of this facility or the lodge in Brits.
So there is a definite suspicion of foul play, as opposed to obviously the tragedy that has come with Enoch drowning in the river. But you fear, or the family are believing, that there may be more to the story.
Yes, the family believes there may be more to the story. That is why we have asserted in very strong terms that we will pursue other role players. And these are not limited to the lodge and the individual educators who were in charge of this camp.
Okay. Criminal charges, they be laid?
Yes, we'll be going with the family to Brits today, and the family would also want to ensure that those who are responsible are criminally prosecuted.
Buang, I'm going to press you for a few answers. Whether you can or can't give them to me, I don't know. But who will these criminal charges be laid against?
Well, the investigations by the South African Police Service are still at an infancy stage. We are going to touch base with the detective who is handling this matter. At this stage, it will be difficult for me to pronounce on who should be pursued by the police. But I would think that those who are in charge of the camp, the educators concerned, should be subjected to interrogation by the SAPS.
Yeah. So we obviously saw that the school yesterday was not having usual activities and classes, allowing pupils to get any form of counselling that they may need and to just come and pay their respects to the late Enoch. However, have you gotten any explanation from them whatsoever as to what actually happened?
Well, there are conflicting versions. We are going to convene our own meeting with the parents of grade 8 learners at the school, because the meeting that was convened last night did not provide any clarity as to what transpired at this camp. So we want to give them a platform to ventilate their concerns, but to also ask them to allow us to interview the learners who were part of this camp. The school only learned of the disappearance of Enoch on Thursday morning, and they were informed by a learner, which points to negligence and recklessness on the part of the school.
Yeah. Do you believe that the school is covering up something? Do you think that there's a lot more information and they're concealing information with the events that led up to the young boy's death?
It is the view of the parents that the school is trying to conceal the circumstances that led to the death. And we may be required to use our powers of subpoena to compel the school to divulge more information and provide or shed more light on what happened.
So, I mean, we look at some of the weekend reports talking about life jackets, that the parents were supposedly meant to bring a life jacket with, or supply a life jacket for their boys if they were going to participate. I mean, have you ever heard of anything like this? I mean, is this a fair excuse? I'm not saying that this is the excuse that the school is given, but that is one angle, that you needed to bring it. But if you did not have it, why could you participate anyway? And since when does a child have to bring their own life jacket if they're participating in an organized activity where there should already be life jackets there available?
It is unheard of. And here we are dealing with an indigent family and a prominent school, public school in Gauteng, and the conduct of the school is really uncalled for. And we have called for the department to look at developing guidelines for schools around issues of safety, excursions of this nature, and initiation practices by public schools and private schools in the province.
Yeah, I mean, if we've had some great insight and people giving their views on these indemnity forms that you sign. With regard to the stance on that from the South African Human Rights, I mean, you're basically signing away any responsibility to the camp, to the school, if anything should go wrong. How legal is this? I mean, how much ground do they actually have in a case like this?
Well, even when you have freely and voluntarily entered into such an agreement with the school, it does not preclude a party from seeking judicial redress, especially in the circumstances where there is negligence and recklessness. And this case is a classic case of negligence and recklessness. And the Concord has already pronounced on this, that parties should have a right of recourse and have access to courts to secure appropriate relief where there has been negligent conduct, where there has been recklessness. It would be unfair and contrary to public policy for the school to want to use this indemnity clause to prevent the claimants in this matter from exercising their legal rights.
Yeah, so that's going to be an interesting one to listen into for the future of indemnity forms, because you know these are very questionable, and I think that this is coming to the fore where people are looking at them and saying, but this is not right. What's written in here is not right, and if this stands in a court of law, then this is obviously going to open up a massive can of worms.
Yeah, I mean that's why we also think it is important to start engaging with school governing bodies.
Yes.
Around these issues. Yeah. Policy formulation, all these indemnity forms, to ensure that they are aligned to our constitution and they can pass constitutional scrutiny.
Mm-hmm. I want to ask you now, in terms of, you're going later on to the camp today with the Mpianzi family, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, I'm going with the parents this morning.
So you're going to go through, and what are you hoping to find there? What's the aim through this visit?
Well, part of the reason why we are going there is to also assist the family to find some sort of closure. Yeah. Because they were in Brits momentarily with the MEC for education in Gauteng. There are still many unanswered questions, and they really want to shed more light on and recount what happened or what they were told. And this will also assist us as we prepare our papers, because we intend to launch a civil lawsuit. But the family is also amenable to an amicable settlement in this matter, but they would like us to also pursue individuals, because there's a tendency, particularly in government, for officials not to get away with without any consequence. Like there are no consequences management processes sometimes in place. I can talk about the Mathamare matter. Yeah. Where none of the officials at the hospital were held accountable, and the MEC said he takes full responsibility. So the family would like us to also look into the possibility of suing the educators in the individual capacity.
So in the individual capacity, are you referring to the headmaster of Parktown Boys High?
Yes.
There's a possibility that he very well may be sued in his individual capacity, yes, as well as some of the teachers that were present.
The head of grade 8 learners at the school,
okay, the
teachers who were present, because there was no roll call, no head count was done, and we've received some evidentiary material which points to the fact that the school was negligent. The the learners were also not given sufficient support. But we welcome the intervention by the Gauteng Department of Education to provide counseling. But the parents have called on the commission to convene a public meeting so that they can raise some of their concerns regarding how this matter has been handled. In terms of the camp, any liability to the camp itself? We are also looking at that. There may be a case against the camp, but at this stage we are just looking at finding answers, establishing what happened. But we could pursue Nyati camp in Brits.
Who ran the water activity? Was it the school that ran the water activity, or did they get an outside company to come in and do this?
It is still unclear. And that's the sad part about this, that the information is being concealed. We don't know what happened, and the family cannot move on. And the family has also called on the department to provide them with financial support in order to bury the young men. There's so many more questions I want to ask you around this case, because like you say, I mean, everything you're saying here, you'd think we'd have more information, and yet this is all still missing at this point in time. Against any learners, I have to ask that as well, with foul play suspected, are there suspicions around other learners that maybe have been involved in this, or that's not even in question right now? It's not in question at the moment, but we hope when we get an opportunity to interview the learners who are part of the camp, we will find out more information around what happened.
Buang, before I let you go, we have another interview, but I cannot let you leave without talking about this Kwai incident where an 8-year-old girl lost her life in the Free State and drowned over the weekend trying to fetch water. This is, again, gross human rights abuse. And the Free State, we've been talking, has been struggling with water for years now. What are the human rights organizations? What are you doing about this?
Well, our office in the Free State has indicated that they will summon the Maluti Apofu municipality, the provincial government, and the civic structures in Kwakwa to a meeting to discuss the issues that continue to plague the community of Kwakwa. I used to be the provincial head in the Free State. I understand the situation there, and I understand that the municipality is currently under administration. So the leadership instability at the municipality is also something that should be addressed urgently, and we are calling for more accountability, more transparency, and we hope that the activism that has been demonstrated by the community will yield positive results.
Well, I hope so, and I hope you yourself take a trip down there. You know the province well, you were there, and you can assist, because there have been complaints against the SAHRC saying that they're just not doing enough and they're not representing the people. So you'll take this as a personal matter, I hope.
It is very personal.
Good. Good. Buang, I'm going to leave it there. Thanks so much for talking to us here on the program. Buang Jones, Gauteng Provincial Manager of the SAHRC, talking to us about their legal support to the late Enoch Mpianzi's family after his tragic death last week. Let's take a break.